This is the last video for our introduction to tourism sector video series, and this video will talk about public sector as an important tourism sector. So we were able to discuss about the tourism sector such as destination attraction, accommodation, events management, intermediaries, and transportation. And now we finally are here in public sector and policy. And in the picture is our current DOT Secretary, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat. So in a state, no, in a country, this is the usual organization of departments of tourism or ministries of tourism in a given state or country. So you have, of course, the director of tourism, the Secretary Puyat in the Philippines, and then usually we have the common arms of tourism, which has something to do with marketing. Of course, development of tourism, like developing certain areas of the country and making them tourism destinations, helping them making attractions and develop their manpower in order for them to be able to make their area as a flourishing and sustainable tourism destination. Of course, administration within the office of the Department of Tourism. Then we have also planning and research to be able to scout new areas that we can possibly develop in a certain area, and also research on probably statistics on the tourism inflows and economic gains, and also look into the effects of the implementations of the programs of tourism, and of course external relations. How does tourism, the Department of Tourism, communicate with the other sectors of society and the other departments of state? Now, in the Department of Tourism, we have the following undersecretary areas. We have the tourism promotion sectors, which is, of course, obviously what it does is it tries to improve the name of the Philippines as a tourism destination. So it promotes the tourism activities in the Philippines. And then we have tourism services and regional offices sector. So it talks about this specific subsection of the Department of Tourism, basically deals with the specific local government units and how they will be able to manage their specific tourism activities in their areas. We have planning, product development, and coordination. So basically, this is in terms of tourism development, how you develop and sustain the different potential and current tourism destination in the Philippines. And of course, the internal services sector, basically the operations within Department of Tourism. So what are the impacts of public sector to the tourism industry? First, it increases demand, and it basically helps you to increase your revenue and manages both demand and revenue. So, the Department of Tourism helps in the marketing and promotion of the Philippines and the local government and the different destinations within the Philippines in terms of marketing and promotion. Diba? It's more fun in the Philippines. That is an output that is coming from the tourism promotion sector of the Department of Tourism. And then, of course, information provision for those who are interested to go to the Philippines, and of course to be also develop a network of other intermediaries of tourism in the Philippines. And then, of course, it also controls pricing, so to be able to prevent overpricing in a certain tourism destination. So, yon, trabaho din siya ng DOT. And then next, together with the Department of Immigration and Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Tourism also helps in terms of controlling the access of our country to other foreigners, no, especially those who may be dangerous in the Philippines. So, ayan. And then, of course, security and safety in relation to what I've said earlier. And then, the public sector is also important in terms of doing supply and cost management for the different tourism destinations in the Philippines. So they set up programs and policy in relation to land use planning and environmental control for the destinations that would be developed eventually as tourism destinations. Building regulation in terms of pricing, in terms of human resource, no, in terms of development of tourism products. They set basically the limitations and of course allows for flourishing and sustainability of tourism attractions. Market regulation, so basically again, controlling prices, making sure that it is competitive at the same time it is not abusive to tourists and consumers. Next, market research and planning. So basically, doing more research in order to see how the tourism development programs are being implemented, seeing the economic gains of the country, trying to see the tourism inflows within the country and from the outside of the country. And also, the Department of Tourism has something to do with the taxation related to tourism products. Also, the public sector, both locally and the Department of Tourism, also has increases the ownership of tourism developed areas. And then, of course, Department of Tourism and the local tourism boards can also help in terms of education and training of the locals in order for them to participate better and to be able to gain more and benefit more from the tourism activities happening in their localities. And of course, it also gives investment incentives to private sectors who would like to invest in tourism products and tourism development in certain areas in the country. So that was just a brief introduction of how the public sector and policy influences tourism sector. We'll be talking about this in more detail when we go to tourism development process, no? And because Department of Tourism and the DILG has specific principles related to this, and we'll talk about that in that specific discussion. But for the meantime, we were able to see what are the organizational structure of Department of Tourism in the Philippines and in other places in the world. And then we also discussed about the different roles of the public sector here in the Philippines and in other places of the world, in order to flourish and sustain the tourism activities in their areas. So that is the end of our tourism sector series. I know it's a lot, no? These are bite-sized videos, but I hope that in this way you are able to know who are the stakeholders and who are the sectors that basically contribute to the growth and the sustainability of tourism industry in a certain locality and ultimately in the whole of the country.